Very good morning to everyone, and thanks for joining. Thanks for joining bang on time, actually, and helping to take off this us to take off with this session within a Vidya community. If I am not wrong, this is the first time we are doing a reflection of this book. While book reflections are very common and exciting sessions in the community, the wonderful part of it is we all may not be able to read all the books, but through the experiences of others, we at least extract the pulp out of such great books. And that's what our practice is within this community. But for the first time, possibly we are doing the review of this fantastic book, which is Positive Intelligence. And if I may honestly share, this is one book which has impacted me positively in my life, like very few other books have. The other book, of course, is a couple of other books I can name in this context is Psychology of Money, The Inner Game of Stress. These are books which really have influenced me by the way I look at life. I look at everyday things. So I thought, why not push myself to really cover this book, which has had such a great impact in me. And uh, and what motivated me is if it can impact me after this many years or decades in the world, I'm sure it can impact most of us and can have an influence which is very easy possibly to enact in our day-to-day lives if we really start believing what this book has got to convey to us. So to start off with, and where this book straight away hit a chord with me is uh, it talked about this in corporates, and many of us who are associated with our corporate lives, we often see these workshops, trainings, team building exercises, rope climbing, cricket playing, or group activities. And to be very, very honest, I never found a lot of excitement in all those activities. I mean, the corporate part of it, 2 day workshop on team building. The reason being, I felt those are very fragile. It pushes you against your wishes to do certain things, yet it doesn't leave any impact thereafter. I'm not sure if anybody has benefited on a long-term, sustainable basis from any such workshop, 2 day team building exercise, motivational exercise, and all. It has an impact at times for the next 1 week, 10 days, 15 days, and slowly fizzles out. And this book exactly starts off with this point that don't they stay with us? And it struck a wonderful chord with my belief. And what they say is, what this book talks, Shirzad is talking about is, it is actually not addressing the core issues that plague such challenges of lack of a proper team, lack of motivation, lack of excitement at work. What we are trying to answer through such team building exercises, uh, corporate workshops, etc., are merely the surface of the problem, which is the symptoms. So when you go to doctors also, at times we have fevers, we take a paracetamol. What we have handled is the symptom of fever. We have not got into the what is causing the fever because we may not have time to go to the doctor, etc. Even if we go to the doctor, often what we see is doctors get into the insight of it. And okay, you may be having a bronchial infection, and that's the reason this fever is coming. So this is the medicine to solve that. But the problem is it again recurs because we have got an insight as to what is causing the fever, but most often than not, such medical practitioners may not give you or may not even think of giving you something which can which you can form as a habit to avoid such uh, challenges in future. So number one issue is most of these corporate trainings events actually try to solve the symptoms and not the core problem inside. A, a person within a team is not able to perform because maybe he's too busy pleasing everyone. Maybe he's supporting others. He's wanting acknowledgements from others for supporting them, but he's not doing his work. Maybe there's somebody who actually is avoiding any team engagement because he's not comfortable exposing himself to others. Now, these are core causes that actually hampers or that impacts the collaboration in a team, but we never address such individual challenges. And most of these individual challenges are an outcome of how we grow up as a child. Our child, for all of us, even if you have a very happy childhood, moderately happy childhood, or a very traumatic childhood, we develop our own mechanisms to survive through our childhood. And it varies from person to person based on the way they have actually grown up. The problem remains is while our baby tooth, which we have when we are a baby, falls off and gives way to firm teeth later on, while our inner muscles and bones grow up to support our body as an adult. The problem remains that within our mind, the survival instincts remain, and we really are able to come out of these basic survival instincts that we have developed as a child throughout our life, which causes us to get impacted in various different ways throughout our life. So, this book delves into these core aspects of what actually are the core insights behind the symptoms that we see of behavioral patterns, mental state of people. And also the best part of this book is why this book struck a chord is it doesn't give us just the gyan or the knowledge and leaves us there as many other books does. It gives us a wonderful way how we can really form habit of solving such problems and coming out and shade off the emotions, these as the instincts that we developed as a child as we move into adulthood. Data says that mental muscle is important because 80, 20% is the insight and 80% is the muscle that will develop come out of such challenges. A very simple example is when you are obese, you are given some medicines by the doctor, but you are asked to run or walk this many kilometers a day, every day, or 5 days a week. Why are you advised to do that? Because you need to develop this habit of regularly walking or running to reduce your weight. It is not that the doctor just gives you some medicines and you start losing weight. Even if you do that, it is not really the ideal or sustainable practice of doing it. So if we can develop such habits for our body, why can't we develop such habits for our mind? And if you look at the data, and this data comes from another great book called Inner of Stress, that 70% of primary healthcare issues are related to the mind and not to the biology of our body anatomy. And this 70% issues can greatly get reduced if we really focus on developing the mind. We may not need to work or spend time in developing many aspects of our body because sorry, not developing many. I mean, taking care of many of the problems of our body. So this book wonderfully habituates us to get into building this mental muscle. We are so focused on building our biological muscles, but hardly do we. A very small fraction of us really focus on building our mental muscle. And the third aspect that this book covers is one operating system. For IT people, this slide may be very familiar. An operating system comes from the world of technology, and I am also from that world. So across different operating systems or different all applications needs to be reported. We know in the technology world, if something is running on Windows, to run it on Linux, you need to report it. And it's very similar is the self-help books that we actually at times pick up from the airport or a bookstore if we have nothing to do. Generally, we people like me pick up books only if I have nothing to do or if I am waiting for anyone. Really, we do it as a proactive measure. But we go through such books. We have problems in getting up early. We have problems in managing our work throughout the day. So we pick up 7 habits of effective 4 techniques to handle stress. Now the problem that is there is each of these books have a different operating system on which the book is written. And then if you have read 3 books, we are incapable of drawing any commonality or a base operating system on which to converge all these habits. So what happens is we remember some of these. We over a period of time we try to only possibly wake up early, but soon we lose the motivation because four techniques to handle stress talked about something else, which actually diluted our whole focus for waking up early or keeping those 7 habits of effective people that you have read. So that is where this book actually makes life simpler by bringing in very simple factors, by actually normalizing the factors at the base core human mental level instead of actually focusing on developing habits or managing conflict or handling stress. And that is called factor analysis. It's very similar if I give an example of um, the color, some painter. You see, when we were kids, we used to have these 12 sketch pen packets. We used to get very excited if somebody gifted us a 24 or a 36 sketch pen packet. So many colors to choose from, etc. But if you look at the master painters, they only has 3 or 4 colors in their palette. There is only 3 fundamental colors: red, yellow, and all colors on earth can be created from these 3 colors. And they actually want to create their own ways of coloring. So they actually have very limited colors and create colors on this book. Similarly, what this book or this concept of positive intelligence does is it actually eases out all these complex aspects that we struggle in everyday life into 10 negative and 5 positive factors. And that makes handling them easier. And the best part is all the 10 negative factors are not applicable to all. Only possibly 2 or 3 negative factors are applicable to most of us. So it becomes much easy to work at the base core foundation level instead of trying to address each of the symptoms like my bad habits or my inability to manage stress, etc., at a structural level. It addresses each one of them at the core foundation level. So that is what this is unique about this particular book. So I'll just pause for a while in case Anita, Anju, Kishore, Abhijit, anyone would want to add who might have gone through this book. Any thoughts on that?
So, Pratik, if I may want to add, I mean, I have not gone through this book and hardly have covered a few pages earlier and these days. But this book has been actually game changer in my thinking process. Uh, by just knowing the simple terms, when you try to understand and differentiate between your sage and sabotage, I was really, not into this mindset at all. And if I just share and reflect on my own thought process, um, I really used to think that, uh, again, being in a corporate competitive world, when we are working on our day-to-day jobs and so many pressures, handle so many pressure. So I used to think that if I make this scorecard, or if I'll change this, I'll be happy, or I will make it so successful, then only I will be happy, which has really led to sleepless nights, being stressed and having anxiety all the time. However, now, if I just look back in terms of my thought process, I see a positive change in myself. It does trigger me, and but the levels of stress and anxieties are far less as I enjoy one piece of work, which makes it happening how the journey can be more excited. And this is really, helpful, that rather than thinking about what will make you happy, if you try to enjoy and be excited about what you are into the moment, I think that's really, and it's equivalent to uh, focusing on your sages rather than your saboteurs.
Absolutely, bang on. And I have subsequently exactly this thing, this point really stuck me. When I will be happy when, and dot dot dot. And that is really a game changer for me in my thoughts. And believe me, it impacts me every day. It impacts me so positively every day.
Yeah.
Kishore, you were about to say something? If I-
No, so I have not gone through the book. I was about to say that I can in this like 15 minutes I can really connect to what you are saying. And yes, the trainings you were talking about, the 2 days workshop, they do not work. They might give us a high for some days or some maybe weeks, but then of course then it gets lost in the daily routine. So totally with you, Dada.
Absolutely. And it gets lost because we fundamentally are staying same. Nobody actually attempted to change us, change our fundamental challenges for which we thought of doing such training. The team is not working together well. But why are they not working together? We only get into how we can make them work together. How can make this fever subside, not why the fever is recurring time and again.
Correct.
So, absolutely. So that
And
is, sorry.
yeah, and also we all have somewhere more potential as our true potential than what we think and believe. In fact, we measure it, I mean, in terms of our own potential negatively most of the times. We can't do this, or we just have to focus on that to make it happy or to make it achieve. So, and then I just read, the note from Abhijit that, how to really handle stress. I think we all are really juggling in terms of handling our own stresses and anxiety, since we are completely succumbed into achieving that milestone rather than just working on our true potential. And this book really helps with the tools.
Absolutely. Okay, I just saw the chat because the chat is not coming up in a screen share mode default. Yeah.
Mm.
So,
I can help you with that.
yeah, sure, sure. If any message comes, just let me know. So the root cause of our EQ, emotional intelligence, okay, and soft skills and leadership competencies, stress management, managing conflict, generating trust, selling persuasive skills, public performance, and very, very important, happiness. There's only 10 negative factors and 5 positive factors which causes them. I mean, I'm truly convinced. And the best part is not all 10 impacts all of us. I found there was about 4 factors on the negative side which impacts me. And the positive side factors are everything that all of us can practice. It's not person dependent. So what are these 10 negative factors? The first and foremost is the judge. The judge in us, which is the biggest destroyer within us. The amazing part of this judge is it makes us believe it is my closest friend, and actually it is my worst enemy. And the problem of fighting the judge is because it presents itself uh, within my inner circle, that closest set of people whom I really trust. I my inability to see that it is actually the worst enemy which is lying within my inner circle. And those are the most dangerous aspects of anybody's life. If you know the enemy who is far away, you can tackle them. But if the enemy lies in your inner circle, it is first very difficult to detect when it is the enemy, and then to ensure that you take guard against that. And this judge part can be broken up into 3 parts. The judgment about ourselves, the judgment about others, and judgment about circumstances. And these are the 3 greatest uh, killers for most of us in our day to day life. What is judgment about ourselves? Well, you failed in something or it didn't go well during the day. What we generally end up doing? Oh God, I am miserable. Again, I maybe just a lost order or something. I lost the order. I am not that kind of a salesperson. uh, I feel so miserable. So these feelings actually create a self-fulfilling prophecy, and you get involved slowly into a vortex which only pulls you down. At 3 a.m. in the morning, you wake up that I have the presentation in front of 1,000 audience today, and that person may, I don't know if I get numb, if I suddenly lose my points, if somebody laughs at me, and all these start, and you start sweating at 3 a.m., waking up. Who is doing this? It's your inner judge. The previous night, it makes you wake up till 2 a.m. because it says you have to work hard, you have to really prepare hard because you are doing the first time, you may fail miserably, so work hard. So the judge is constantly pushing us to make us believe that unless we work hard, we can't achieve. Unless I punish myself, I can't correct. And this happens. So you have done this. That is why this is happening to you. And it ought to happen to you because from this you will learn tomorrow. But that's not the best way of learning, that is stick approach of learning. But you are believing in the judge because you feel without that judge's help, I will unable, I won't be able to overcome the problems and be successful moving on. Judging others. There's a beautiful example the book gives of two young lovers falling in love. And they start liking and appreciating everything about each other. Uh, their way of connecting, the girls' beautiful hairs, the beautiful eyes, the boys' wonderful gentlemanly approach. But then they get married, they settle into their lives, and slowly it starts that the guy is getting late from work, the girl is getting very, very irritated, trying to figure out where he's going, uh, why he comes late, etc. In reaction, the guy starts feeling that I got married to her. I have to answer everything. What a miserable life I am into. Now I'm not independent. Seeing this tendency, the girl develops. Of course, he's always in a victimized mode. He's always cribbing about my behavior. Let me start avoiding. Let me not get into his life anymore. So you're getting into a constantly self-fulfilling negative vortex. One supporter of the girl leads to another supporter of the boy, leads to another supporter of the girl, and slowly the relationship keeps uh, weakening. Now, what happened from the time they got into love till this period came in? Initially, when they got into love, they were curious, they were compassionate. They were willing to explore each other without any negativity, without any biases in their mind. Slowly, as they got into their journey, as they got into their daily life, they started judging each other, judging that he might be going somewhere, he might be meeting with some other lady. I may not be as beautiful. The judgments are coming in. Now, to this lady, this judge is saying that, see, I am your best friend and not your husband. Hence, I am giving you all the warnings what can happen. Now, see how beautifully from your inner circle, your judge is acting as a worst enemy for you and triggering all such self-fulfilling negative prophecies. So we start judging each other, and the outcome is only something which starts spoiling. Oh, we see somebody, oh, here he's there, must be to ask something or must be to ask some favor. We immediately conclude. We are so busy anticipating, we are so busy concluding. It takes away our ability to explore, to be curious, to figure out why and what. We are waiting for that moment of the other person to say something which will align to my prediction, and I will say, here I am right. I knew he was here for this. So that is your inner judge. What is he doing? It is stopping you from really exploring that engagement with the other person, that entertainment of meeting somebody and figuring out why is he there to meet. And third, the circumstance, as Anju said, that beautiful word, I will be happy when. I will be happy when I get into this school for my 11th, 12th, if I go to my life. I'll be happy when in class 12, I used to feel that if I get it through JEE, I'm getting to engineering. I will be happy when after engineering, if I get into a safe job. I will be happy when now, if I get married and settle down properly without challenges in life. I will be happy when then is if I earn a little more salary to buy a flat. I will be happy when if I buy a bigger car. I will be happy when if my kids graduate from the best schools. I will be happy when if my kids marry well. And then I'm never happy because slowly I'm reaching a point where I may not be anymore in this world. I am never ever happy throughout my life. So I am depending on circumstance to make myself happy.
And then
And this, yeah,
we have conditioned our happiness.
yes, it we see it's a judge working within us that how can you be happy? How can you be happy with so less? You should strive for more. Then only you get happy at so less. Then how will you succeed? How will you run the race of life? You don't have any ambition. That's your inner circle judge. And we are excited that, see, I have the urge. This inner judge is such a great friend which is pushing me to succeed, to run in life. But what are we running for? The ever elusive happiness. So this book taught me one beautiful thing. I have to be happy right now. It is unconditional. I can't put any caveat to it that if this happens in the next 5 minutes, I was so happy. And believe me, it's changing the way I'm thinking. I am now stopping to look at any year milestone of life to make me happy. If I can't be happy now at that milestone, I will not be happy because I stopped forgetting what is it to be happy. So this judge is something to detect the judge coming within. And the beautiful thing this book does is brand the judge, how to stop. So the first step is stop your saboteurs from spoiling you. Stop your judge. And how to do it? Just immediately mark. Now, what happens is I get into a public place and there's somebody and there's a thought coming. This person is like, and immediately I brand it. Judge coming in. Stop. Stop. No judging of that person. So get conscious, more and more conscious when this judge is coming in, and immediately stop it from affecting you. But what at times get confusing is between discerning and judging. So does that mean we will not observe anything which is something not in line with my expectation? If there's somebody who repeatedly is coming late to office, does that mean no, I will not judge? Yes, absolutely, you won't judge it, but you should be discerning towards that person. So there's a difference between judging and discerning. Discerning is all about really with curiosity, the right in spirit of curiosity, figure out what is the problem, find out how it can be solved. Rather than judging this, he's what we do. This person is a habitual latecomer. And while I was reading this book, there's some social media pop up came up, and it is just sheer accident that this pop up was about a kid who goes to the village, who goes to the school, and every day is late. And he gets a stick on his from 5 sticks on his hand by the teacher. Very young kid, every day for coming late. So what he does is he enters. Even before going to the bench, he just puts his hand out because it is predictable. The teacher will cane him, and then he will go to his seat. Now, by some chance, the principal or somebody saw this happening, and then he took the teacher one morning and they followed the child. Every morning, the child goes to the hospital to deliver food for his mother, who is admitted to the hospital. And there is a visiting hour from when they allow him, delivers the food, comes to school, gets caned, and sits the class. And this happened when I was reading this book. And it made such a strong impact in me that we immediately judge as to why he comes too late to office every day. And that he comes too late, he's a habitual late comer. Many of us don't even go and explore that. Is there any challenge that you are having for which it is late? Either we will really scold or rebuke him, or we'll conclude about him. But we really try to figure out what is the cause behind what is happening and then try to solve it. So that is discernment, which is different from judging.
Yeah. And I think on to this point, as you just talked about this example, Pratik, like a child coming late to the office or school. I think it's easy thing for us as people to build that perception that, that person is very casual in nature, without even getting deep into the root cause, or I mean, just it's the difference of that symptoms and the root cause, where we immediately make that perception that he is a casual, he has a casual attitude, he will not care, he will not bother, and he will come to school late.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, quite a few other friends joining in. Thanks for joining in. I thought Chetnar, Remaya, Anushli, thanks so much for joining. And sorry if I have missed out anybody because I can't see everyone.
And Anshuli has written a very beautiful, message here on the chat, that
Yeah.
it's difficult to, on this only, it's difficult to think. That's why people judge. Yeah. We
Oh,
really do
yes.
not get into that thinking process at all. We do not think. We do not even think about ourselves, like in terms of our mindset or true potential, as earlier I was talking about. It's just the judging.
This brings me to, I'm just thinking as you read it out. We generally in day-to-day life choose to do activities which doesn't require much thinking earlier, which we choose them prior to doing stuff where it requires thinking, because we probably have got very lazy about thinking. It's such a tiresome job again to start thinking. So absolutely bang on. It's so easy to immediately conclude rather than think through and figure out and explore with compassion about why something is happening the way it is happening. So this book beautifully, I just put up for one sample, and I'll go to the next nine saboteurs. So this book beautifully explains this what the judge does: finds faults with others, ourselves, circumstances, and immediately badges. The best part is it immediately creates a perception, stamps situations that what is wrong with you? Why why are you behaving like this? Oh, this is what must be wrong with the other person. I failed because of the circumstances. And in this circumstance, another beautiful example. One of my friends, I know one of my sister's daughters in school. Uh, they, they were. She was very keen to become a prefect, but it didn't happen during class 10. It didn't happen. And the immediate reaction was that the teachers, for some reason, were biased, or they impressed the teachers so much that the teachers failed for choosing them, etc., etc. And her father uh, then highlighted that while going to school, you need to put the tiffin box in your bag. We need to ensure that you carried the bottle. Couple of times you missed it, we went down and gave you. Now, look at this scenario that you are not able to take care of yourself fully. Are your teachers wrong in possibly interpreting the same, and that you will not be able to take care of the other students of the whole school properly? So the problem till then was again judgment, constant judging of everybody else who are at fault except me, not an objective exploratory view. And the next 2 years, when she focused and tried to become independent, in class 12, when she became prefect, it was because of that observation, which is without bias and judgment of her father, that helped her change. But had she remained where she was, she wouldn't have become into class 12 also, because the core challenges for which she was unable, she probably didn't get selected, would have remained same, and she would have continued to blame circumstances and others for her lack of success, and not look at objectively or explore objectively within as to what is causing that failure. So the interesting part is the justification lies that the judge gives, and the book does this for all the saboteurs that I'm going to talk about. Without me pushing you, will get lazy and complacent. I need to push you for mistakes. Otherwise, how will you learn in life? These are, and is there anyone amongst us for whom none of these have work? I doubt. We throughout our life we have faced this within our inner voice. And in many coaching conversations, including with initially and others, they have brought up that one of the challenges I have is the long lying childhood saboteur within me that if I lie down, my future will lie down. If if I am lazy, my future will be lazy. And this has shaped so many saboteurs in my life later on, that I still can't peacefully rest because I feel time is running out. I don't know what to be done, but still time is running out. So, and this book was such a wonderful revelation that I can take a break, I can take a pause. So, maybe it's as a takeaway, what would be that one thing in your personal life or work life uh, that where we would want our judge's voice to be weakened? Maybe it's a point to ponder, and we can think through as outcome of this session that anything that we would want uh, to weaken in our life, our inner voice of the judge. Moving on, we talked about judge, and then there are the other nine accompanying saboteurs. The judge comes in and it brings along some accompanying saboteurs. And what are the foundation of these accompanying saboteurs, nine accompanying saboteurs? So the book beautifully says there are three primary motivations that underpin our emotional survival needs. And each of us grew up with this emotional survival needs, one of these. Either we sought independence as a child, or we sought acceptance as a child, or we sought security as a child. Depends on our childhood environment, our parental relationships, and everything. But it was one of them. And I analyze myself, and possibly one of the more stronger motivations for me as a child was acceptance. I tried analyzing that. And then you develop a style to achieve that. And those, again, are three styles. Either you become assertive as a child, or you work towards earning that. For me, it was like earning the acceptance, or you want to avoid, you have developed an avoidance style because of whatever reason. You withdraw yourself from activities, from your thoughts or other people, so that you fulfill your desire of independence or security or acceptance. So if you're feeling, if your underpinning emotional survival need was security as a child, you can achieve that by asserting, by earning, or by avoiding everyone on any threat situations, so that you achieve the security in life. So this is so that is why that factor analysis is such a beautiful thing this book does. It doesn't get into the structural aspects of motivation, leadership, or uh, building habits. It actually gets into the core foundation of these three motivation styles, the motivation in our life, and these three fundamental styles. So when I analyze very objectively while reading the book, what is my thing, and it made me do a few exercises as part of the Abhyudaya's sessions, activities. I figured out it was acceptance, and I have a style which is of earning it. And that's why I work so extra hard, so that I earn it and not assert myself or not avoid. And these 3:3 create this beautiful matrix, which is our saboteurs in life. So if my fundamental trait as a child was independence, and a motivation trait was independence, and if my style is assertive, I slowly developed the controller saboteur. I become a controller in life. I try to control situations. I try to control people. Even I try to control others' emotions. And each of these nine are very in detailed explained, but in the interest of time and being a discussion session, I didn't want to get into the details. But this is a beautiful revelation of what impacts me. So if, and it is not that if each one of us will only be having one. So I found when I uh, did the test, I found I have three primary saboteurs working with me, apart from the judge being present. Two were top. Then, so for each one of us, we may have all the nine, but then there will be a couple of them where we score 6, 7, 8. There'll be a couple of them where we score 1 or 2, which are really not impacting our life. And then we start focusing on how I can really take my focus onto those primary saboteurs and immediately brand them moment I see them coming. So for me, for example, hyperachiever was and controller were the two primary things, primary saboteurs. So it gives me a style of assertiveness. So I sought independence, I sought acceptance. Maybe as a lone child being brought up by two working parents, my motivation, my need for acceptance was very high because I probably missed that during the entire day. Might have gone out and sought acceptance from others. Why? Because I exist. When I am alone at house, I am not getting a reconfirmation of my existence. So I walked towards getting that reconfirmation of my existence, my activities, etc. Because probably I was born up as a single child of working parents. So when you go back and see that why you have developed such saboteurs in your life now, it's so interesting to see how your childhood shaped it. And the problem, unlike milk teeth, which falls off when you were six or seven, these saboteurs never fell off. And they kept strengthening within yourself, fooling us as friends of ours, as our inner self, rather than the worst enemies that we have. So this is the link, and you can just note it, positiveintelligence.com/saboteurs. Go and take the test. It's very interesting, self-revealing. And the best part of the test is don't think while ticking the answers. Immediately tick. Whatever is coming, immediately tick. If you think, the answers may get distorted. And you'll figure out what are those primary saboteurs that are working within you as your friends, but actually against you. And then you can start taking guard against them. And we'll talk about how to take guard against them. So let's evoke the sage in us. So this book talks about saboteurs versus sage. The sage is what we should all be exploring. Most of our distress, just think very, very objectively. If you have 10 challenges in life, almost 9 or even 10 are because you are creating it. There's nothing external which is causing it, except for maybe certain exceptional situations. All those stresses are being caused because of within your inner self. You are assuming something, you are thinking something, you are concluding something, you are anticipating something. In external world, everything is running the way they are supposed to. So the 5 sage powers that each one of us really need to explore: empathize, explore, innovate, navigate, act. And this is so beautiful, and at least I've internalized the 5 words within me. I don't know how much I'm able to act on it. And the most difficult part is empathizing with self, empathizing with others. And this, I'll talk in the next slide as to how beautifully this, uh, when you just hear empathize, you know what it is, but it's so difficult to do. You don't know how to do that. And this book helped me do that. And the life-changing approach is any given situation, think of 3 gifts that this situation can give for you. Your car got hit by somebody, think of 3 gifts out of that situation. You slipped, think of 3 gifts out of that situation. You slipped in life, you slipped on a pathway, you lost your job, your kid didn't fare well in the exam. Think of 3 gifts this situation provides you, or 3 opportunities out of this. And then possibly this situation can completely be looked at as a transformative experience in your life. From from a situation where you probably regret, you'll probably pull yourself, you'll blame others, you'll blame circumstances, nothing gets achieved out of it. You only get into a very, very self-fulfilling negative vortex. But what can these 3 situations give you? And I have looked at my life, some great changing milestones of my life, not in a positive way. And believe me, I could build, why 3? I could figure out 4, 5 gifts out of them when I looked at them from the other side. Had they not been this wouldn't have been possible. And pick one thing that's causing your stress and distress, and try the, just out of the 5 things that's challenging to you, which is in your mind today. Take one thing and figure out how this can create 3 gifts for me, or 3 opportunities for me. It's very difficult initially to take your saboteur away and think that way. Just practice, try it out for a 1 day or 2 day. You will start figuring out that at least there's one gift you are able to extract, then two gifts you are able to extract. And if you continuously practice, your cribbing, your blaming things on others will slowly fade off for a particular development, and you will see that as an opportunity. I remember in one long back, 20 years back, the organization I was, it used to have every year a reshuffle. Roles would change. This. So one of my colleagues, I would say, again, this month is coming. Again those changes. Who will get into what roles? So he told me, Pratik, isn't that an opportunity for you to move into something? And believe me, it's 20 years back. He told me this as a conversation. I haven't forgotten it. And exactly this book talks about this. So the five sage powers, and this is again the beautiful part as to how you do it. Empathize. Use it when your emotional reserves are low. You are blaming yourself, you're punishing yourself. Think of you as a 5-year-old child. Keep a 5-year-old picture of yours with yourself and just look at it. Does this child deserve this beating? Does this child deserve this punishment? Think of the other person whom you are having a negative feeling towards as a 5-year-old child, how he or she would have looked. Does he or she deserve the kind of negativity that you are developing towards him or her as a 5-year-old kid? So it breaks up this whole sage thing into when do you need to really push and bring that up? What can get in the way? When you try to empathize with yourself, your judge will come. No, Pratik, how can you? After such a miserable failure, you are empathizing with yourself. You have to be tough to yourself. That's what will make you go in life. That's what our apparent friend and our worst enemy makes us think. And we get excited, or we try to get charged up. Yes, this was so bad. This is so bad. I should. But think of yourself as a child and feel that would you have thought about that as for a child of in front of you like that? You never thought about that. Similarly, explore. Need to discover more about what is going on, which most of us, as I said, we when we meet people or we are in a circumstance, we are just waiting for a hint to conclude. That conclusion and matching it to my inference, I was bang on. So work like a fascinated anthropologist who is not biased, who is willing to explore every bit of it without any bias, without any judgment, and enjoy that exploration. That's a new experience. And don't even think of concluding that. And third is innovate. And again, when we try to innovate, what we do innovate is with our left brain. And now soon, in the next slide, we'll talk about left brain and right brain. We are so much tuned to thinking with our left brain that when we talk innovation, we are actually not talking innovation. We are talking about different configuration of the same solution. Innovation is something which has not been there, which is out of the box. But what we apparently say is an innovation is a little different configuration. What is innovation? Keep writing, keep sharing ideas, and without the merit of its possibility. Don't think whether they have a possibility of being deployed or possibility of being executed. Yes, this option one, this. Yes, and this, and this, and this. Don't think whether it's feasible or not. Keep on throwing ideas till you run out of ideas. That's what innovation is. And then you will find on the 20th, 25th, 35th idea, you really are bringing in innovation, in very innovative ones, which are not different configuration of the same solution, but completely a different solution. And then is a time when you should navigate and figure out of all these paths, which one is feasible. While innovating, don't think of feasibility. Then you are actually restricting your innovation. Think once you are dried out of innovation, think about navigating. And this This is a brilliant thing that helped me very recently in a very important decision of my life. Flash forward. So when I was taking decision around my professional life and at crossroads, I just paused for a while and I read this book. I pushed myself 20 years further down my life and looked at my current life. At the 20 years down the line, what would I have cherished based on the, standing in this crossroad today? And whichever I felt I would cherish 20 years later, that's a decision I took. So flash forward, move ahead in future, look back at the current situation and see what is the best path forward. Then you don't regret. Don't look at it from current perspective, trying to look into the future. Move yourself into the future and look back into the current present. And once you have done that, just act with laser focused action, without biases, without judgments. Then the focus is on action, without judgments. So this is a beautiful 5-stage sage process that the book talks about: empathize, explore, innovate, navigate, and activate. And this resides on our right brain. The problem possibly is our schooling, our bringing up, all has focused throughout our life on left brain development. Left brain, which is predominantly gives us logic, gives us science. That is where our schooling has focused, and it's really focused on our right brain. Left brain is primarily composed of three key things. One is brainstem, which is the most primitive part of our brain. Then the limbic system, which is involved in initiating our response to danger. So human beings millions of years ago used to live out there in the open, and one of the biggest threats to their life was animals and the predators of the nature. So the limbic system got developed to alert us about any possible danger, flight or fight. Either you fight the danger or run away. And our systems were developed to sustain that for a very limited period of time. Because fighting can't continue eternally, neither can running away continue eternally. For a brief period, the whole hormone system was designed. The blood pressures used to rise up so that it gives you all the energy to fight your predator or run away from the predator. But what we missed out is we that running that we started, we have continued that running. We we are we have not limited ourselves to that limited period. Today, our stresses is throughout the day. The problem is our body is not geared up to handle stress for more than a very limited some 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour time. But we run it for 12 hours. So the cortisol hormone is being secreted throughout the day. Our blood pressure system, there's a reason why blood pressures go up, because they support you for a limited period. But then if you are stressed throughout for 12 hours, then your blood pressure is going to settle back at a new higher normal. And that's why we have such diseases today as diabetes and pressure, because we have forcefully changed our inner system to act in a way which it was not supposed to work. And we have completely ignored our right brain, which is primarily composed of the middle prefrontal cortex, which actually is focused on observation, pausing. It helps us pause before we act. It's just the opposite of the left brain, which makes us act immediately on a threat. It gives us soothing feelings. It gives us staying centered in the middle of stress. Empathy circuitry is again part of the right brain, which actually brings the empathy within us. And then the rest of the right brain is focused on observation, observing people's mood, language, music, and all that. So this is a part of the brain which we hardly spend time on, and hence it is weakened over the period of time. So how do we measure this PQ, which is the positive intelligence? It's there's certain activities, and it's a very elaborate process. I won't spend much time. But what this book talks about, that your achievement is life is a function of your potential into PQ. Potential is something which you have developed over many years. It's very difficult for you to really change it overnight. But what you can change overnight is your PQ by practicing muscle building of your PQ and with a potential which is constant, increasing your PQ may lead to increasing achievement in life. So PQ, they call it PQ reps. Book recommends you to do 100 PQ reps in a day, which is about 15 minutes of activity and not all at one go. And the best part of this is it doesn't ask you to stay in a separate room cut off from people. Amid stressful meetings, while commuting in a car, you can keep doing. And I nowadays do that for 2 minutes, 1 minute. And these are all centered around your five senses, your sense of sight, touch, feel, hearing, and sense of smell. So keep practicing it so that, and I'll explain why it talks about building muscles in that particular way. It's absolutely related to biological science. So, as I said, 15 minutes per day to weaken your supporters, strengthen your stage, and build your PQ muscles. And this is why it talks about doing that. So, if you see the diagram, so our brain has almost 100 billion neurons and 5,000 synapses that allow it to connect it. So, you can imagine the complexity of it. Now, what happens is, seeing a particular scenario, the brain neuron will send out a signal, and based on associations in the past or statistical data, it will take a path at that crossroad where you see this crossroad out here. Here, it will take a path depending on the past. So, if you see a leaf moving beside you, if you're sitting in the garden, you have been taught be safe, be aware. So, you may think it's an insect which may harm you, and you immediately react. Or you may take it's a beautiful breeze flowing, and let me enjoy. Now, which one will happen will depend on your past statistical brain synapses, the way the neurons have synapsed in the past. So, if you are somebody who has been taught to be always safe, the world is a dangerous place, people, everything is risky here, you will immediately feel there's an animal. Now, this PQ reps actually forces you, builds your muscle for this neural path to take the other route, to take the more right brain route and enjoy, explore, be curious about the scenario rather than a fight or flight situation. So all these PQ reps or excess mental muscle building, they ensure that your synapses occur in the path which is aligned to your right brain and not left brain. So I just saw we are just about an hour into the session, almost there. It's a huge topic to cover. So I thought, so to conclude, this is again a great learning from this book and the other book, as I say, in a game of stress. In any situation, think of it: what don't I control here? What am I currently trying to control, and what could I control that I am not presently controlling? It's a very, very simple three steps. Then you will realize you will not bang your head for something which you can't control. You'll focus on handling your emotions and your moods, which you can control. And you'll leave attempting things that you wanted to control but are beyond your control. It's a very, very simple three-step approach that I learned reading some of these books. So, this whole book reiterates the fact that we all want to be happier and more fulfilled. That's the first point, very, very important, most important point in our lives, to be happy and fulfilled. A card doesn't give us a happiness, maybe a larger house, uh, uh, more paying job. None of these can give us happiness unless we know how to be happy, perform better in every aspect of life and in every relationship, and cope with better stress and adversity. Because stress is only going to shorten our lifespan and make it a bitter experience as we progress towards the end of our lives. So this is in nutshell about the book. Any additional thoughts, anything from others that they want to share?
I would say, as Anshuli just, summarized, Pratik, the way you have really captured and articulated all the, key pieces, how to really work on your sages and, build that muscle power, uh, build that muscle to really, minimize your saboteurs. So beautifully explained. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Anything else from anyone? Sorry, I couldn't see the comments because I always feel the comments distract, so I see it at the end of it.
Yeah.
Just want to work on keep saying bye to the judge. That's all.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Very good.
I'm so
Yeah.
convinced about it.
Yeah.
And two back-to-back books, Inner Game of Stress and this one. Inner Game of Stress, very similar. It talks about self one and self two. Here it talks about judge and me. And such a revealing that what we felt, truly all of us feel as our closest friend, always pushing me, always helping me achieve, is such a dangerous enemy lying within.
And I would say both the books are like your self-improvement tools. First of all, work on that. And this is really great.
True self-improvement books, not those self-help books. Actually, they work at the fundamentals, at the foundation. They doesn't
Hmm.
work as or at the super structural level at what should be the room sizes and what should be the washroom sizes. It works at the foundation level to create a foundation on which any room, any washroom, any kitchen can be created.
Exactly. Yeah. I think rather than the technical or technical pieces, it really, triggers your thought process.
Yes, and very importantly, leaves you with a very strong action point. Many of the books you read over,
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
pushes you to act on it. That's
Yeah.
very, very important, building those muscles.
Yeah. True. Thank you.
Pratik Dada, just I'll second what Anju ji is saying. Wonderfully encapsulated. I mean, 1 hour just went by. I was thinking that it should have been longer, but of course, I mean, the time is limited for everyone. But it looks like that. I mean, it seemed like that. It was a good storyteller telling, striking the right chords on a guitar, or if you compare it from a with a musician, I mean. But
Yeah.
Hmm.
wonderful. Thank you so much, Pratik.
Hey, thanks, Kishore, for joining in and your interest. It's so wonderful to have you with this photo. Wonderful. So, thanks everyone. Really love this session. Look forward to similar sessions with all of you. And Anita, so we'll ping and try to see if we can meet up.
Yes.
Very rare to get someone from the community in Calcutta. So now that I've got one, we can shoot you on a meetup.
Sure. Sure. Take care and yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks a lot. Thanks
Okay.
a lot. Really enjoyed.
Thank you. Thank you, Pratik. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
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 Thank you.